Hey guys, my name is Elijah, and this video is going over precedent analysis and organizing our files before starting a project. So let's jump into it. To start off with a quote, every design begins with a precedent, whether a building, a memory, or principle. Design isn't created in a vacuum, it grows from what we've seen, learned, and experienced. So every idea you come up with isn't necessarily made out of a vacuum. You're always thinking about something else that you've seen before. Every architect has done this. You know, it's like you're building upon something else. So, why do we do a precedent analysis? Examining previous projects helps us to understand how other architects approach a design challenge. For example, in an interpretive center, we'll probably want to look at other interpretive centers and maybe how architects have um, approached designing a building in maybe a similar site or similar climate. So we'll look at form and aesthetics, function and program, materials and construction, and also the context and environment a project is in. So if you're like me and you scroll through your phone a lot or just like on the internet, some digital resources that I use to find precedents, like projects, graphics, etc., would be Pinterest, Instagram, and ArcDaily. I particularly like ArcDaily because a lot of the times they include the drawings from the architect. So like the sections, elevations, floor plans, and that gives you a more holistic view of what you're seeing. So some people will do case studies or analyses of iconic projects like the VS Savoy, and they'll note things about the floor plan, elements, etc. Some people will create precedent collages, and we'll actually learn how to make one later. And if a little snapshot into what I do, I'll take pictures from Pinterest, Google, put them in a Google side, and if I'm working with someone, I'll kind of note down what I like and what they like to just kind of get an understanding of what we could use for precedents. So in this video, we'll be making 3 precedent boards, one interior, exterior, and another for graphics. We'll be using Bluebeam. You could be using Google Slides, but just so that we can practice a little bit, we'll use Bluebeam in this video. We'll also go over making a precedent collage, and that can be done in Photoshop. So I'll actually show you guys what we're going to make. This is a precedent collage, and basically what I did um, is I took some values that I'd like to implement in my interpretive center and some images to just kind of show like a connection from the urban heartland of Rancho Cordova and the greater Sacramento area, and how the interpretive center will be a connection to um, nature, farming, sustainable practices, etc. So we'll learn how to do that or something similar. These boards are an example of what we'll be doing for precedent boards, and essentially they're just a collection of images that you find online and that you'd like to use for inspiration in your project. Before we move into that, we're actually going to do a little bit of file organization first, and this is super important for um, at the beginning of our project because this allows us to stay organized, find content more easily, and towards the end when we make our presentation, it's going to be especially useful, and you'll learn why later. So one thing that I came up with is this file organization system that we'll be using. So to go over a little bit, we're going to have a master project folder for our interpretive center, and we'll break it down into different categories and phases. So we'll have like project information that has files from the client, the school, and maybe the architect. Schematic design is kind of where our process goes, so like precedent contact, partie sketching, and our functional analysis. Design development is just kind of like our iterations and feedback from our professors. Bin files are where our Revit, SketchUp, and Rhino files will go. And our presentation folder, it's where our post-production content will go. Like Photoshop files, InDesign files, sections, floor plans, renderings, etc. And we also want to note um, how we name our files because it will also help us stay organized. So one thing I like to do and what my office does is we categorize our files by year, month, day, and the file name. So for example, I'll have 25 for 2025, 06 for June, and 29 for the day. So it's like 2025, June 29th, and we'll have the file name. So for example, Precedent Analysis Board. So let's actually move into doing that. So I'll open up File Explorer and I'll go somewhere where, um, you know, that you can find your files, like a flash drive, hard drive, anywhere you can find. Ignore this one. We're actually going to be making a new folder and we're just going to title it Interpretive Center. Oops. I'm actually just going to name it Interpretive Center 2 because there's already a folder um, there, but in your case, just name it Interpretive Center. So I'm going to click into this folder. I'm going to right click, press new, folder, and actually just make 5 copies. So I'm going to hit Control C, Control V again, until I have 5 folders. And then I'm going to title my first one Project Information. We'll title our second one Schematic Design. Our third one Design Development. And this one will be BIM files. And this one will be presentation. Cool. So that's how, to make file organization good. And yeah, in the next section, I'll go over doing precedent boards. All right. What I'm going to do is open up Bluebeam here, and I'm going to create a new file. And we're going to make it 11 by 17. So we're going to click on template here and find 11 by 17. The setting, we're going to make it landscape and have it 3 pages. Some things we want to do to set up our Bluebeam file to make it easier to align photos is go into Revu here, click on Preferences, Grid and Snap, and we can turn on some of the settings here. And as you can see, they're already turned on, but if they're not, I recommend turning on something like Show Grid, Snap to Grid, make sure your grid spacing is correct, and click the buttons here. All right. So a little bit about Bluebeam. This is a tool that architects use to mark up PDFs, making notes, drawings, and handing them to other people to maybe review or just for presentation. So there's tools here like text, highlighter, pen, and arrows here that they use. And for now, we're actually just going to use the text tool to create our title. So maybe let's type in interior precedent board interpretive center. Did I spell it right? And we're going to part a name. So I'll just put my name, for example. We'll put the class ARC 322, and we'll put the term fall 2025. And I want to make sure that's like black text. So the properties up here allows you to change to the at. So we can click on black. Maybe I'll make it 18-point font. And to differentiate this as a title, maybe I'll bold this one. And then what I'm going to do is actually copy this text over to the other pages so they're labeled. So I'm going to hit Control C. I'm going to go to the other boards, so maybe this one, Control V, align it where the other text is roughly, and then we'll type in like exterior. And then we'll go to the next page, Control V, do exterior as well. We'll actually do graphics. So before we start putting images into our pages, we're going to make sure to save our document. So we're going to go to File, Save, and we're going to navigate to our Interpretive Center file and click on Schematic Design. And I'll title it Precedent Board, but we'll make sure to follow that file naming system we saw earlier. So 2025, so 25, 0630, that's today's date. And I'll type in Precedent Board, or boards, because there's 3 of them. Cool. So now that we have that, let's kind of start putting images in. So for example, on my Pinterest account, I created like different boards where I can take these images and put them into Bluebeam. So maybe let's start off with graphics. And the reason why I created a graphics board is because I like to see how other people present their work and maybe even use that as following a similar style to what they do. So you either have the option of just copying the image and pasting it into Bluebeam, just like that. Sometimes the image imports as very large, so maybe even what I do is just take a screenshot by hitting Command Shift S and maybe just snapping a little bit of this and just putting it here. And basically what you're doing is making a compilation of things that you like and would like to use as inspiration for your project. So it can be, kind of messy. And this is something you can continually update as you go through designing your project. So I'll kind of speed up this video so you can see me do it pretty quickly. And yeah. All right, so this is our finished product. If you want to view your document in presentation mode on Bluebeam, just hit Control Enter. And as you can see, this is what our finished Precedent board looks like. And if we go to the other pages, we can also hit Control Enter like that, and also like that. So after you're done, make sure to hit Control S to save. And yeah. All right, so before I end this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to do a precedent collage. And this is something that doesn't take no more than like 20 minutes of your own time, but it will really help boost your um, precedent concepts and kind of bring it all together into one page. All right, so we're going to walk through this in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do is have it open, create a new file. I'm probably just going to do a letter size sheet of paper. So we're going to go into print, hit letter here. We're going to make sure our unit is inches and then press create. And now what I'm going to do is start looking for elements to post from maybe our precedent board or Google and put it into Photoshop. So maybe I want to take one of my exterior precedent board images, right click it, copy image, and paste it into my collage. And we're going to start building it. Maybe I want to show like some one-word concepts in my interpretive center, like sustainability, urban farming, and health and wellness. And maybe those are some key concepts that I want to include in my interpretive center. So maybe I'll play with the text, make it, you know, bold, play with the font. I'll make it like Century Gothic or just Marriott Pro is fine. Make it bold and resize it. Maybe we want to include a picture of a farm to show that we want to connect our building to the outdoors. So maybe I'll search up like farm PNG. And there's some fun stuff you can paste into. So maybe something like this. I'll right click it, copy it, paste it into here. Maybe I'll skew it a little bit. So I'll hold control and kind of hit something like that. I want to put it under this image and my text here. So I'll go into layers, drag it under. Maybe I'll change the opacity to maybe 37%. It looks a little too saturated, so I'm going to go to image, adjustments here, change up the saturation to lower. Maybe we want to show people or maybe a community. So I'll search up like community PNG and just have something like this or this and just paste it into my collage. And one graphic thing to note is we kind of want to keep it a more simple color palette. So what I'm actually going to do is match the color of my people with the sort of red brick or red material here. So I'll double click this and I'm going to click on color overlay. I'm going to click on the color selection here and use the eyedropper tool and click out into my interpretive center here to catch the color of this material. I'm going to press OK. Maybe add an outline so it's easier to see here by clicking on stroke. Get like 6 pixels, press OK. And maybe even give it some opacity here. Maybe I also want to note the geographic location of it. So we are in soil-borne farms. Maybe I'll include a master plan of that area if I can find it. Soil-borne farms, master plan. Maybe we'll actually take a screenshot of this and paste it in. And I also want to make sure that it's underneath my everything, so I'll just put it here. I'm going to change up the opacity to maybe something like this and put it just right above my images. Maybe I even want to give my text a little bit of angle. So I'll hold control here and just kind of play around with it. Maybe I want to also imply a urban connection. So I'm going to search up like city, PNG. I'll click on here and just right click, copy this image and put it into my present here. Oh, this one has a watermark. Let me find another one. So we'll go back here. Maybe click on this one, copy it and paste it. And I'll resize that. And just kind of paste it off like to right here to show a connection to um, how the interpretive center connects to the city and the farm. Cool. So this is how you guys do like a very quick precedent collage. It's just something you put together to show like the concepts that you want to use to approach your project. Yeah. One last note. So you want to make sure to save your PDF or your Adobe file before you exit out of anything. So you're going to go into File, Save. I'm going to navigate to my um, schematic design folder. So I'll go into my interpretive center file, click on schematic design. I'll title this 250630 for today's date and type in precedent collage. And I'll actually make this an Adobe PDF and press save. Press OK, save PDF, and yes. All right, so this concludes our second video, and I hope to see you in the third video. All right, bye.